Obviously, the threat that we see from violent extremism that's in which individuals invoke the name of Islam, an otherwise peaceful religion, as they carry out these attacks, would certainly be obviously a priority in the discussion here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Five. The question by Ed Henry to Josh Earnest yesterday was this conference you're talking about, a conference on terrorism. Why not call it a conference on radical Islamic terrorism? And you heard, because Islam is an otherwise peaceful religion, except for those who kill people when they feel like it, and except for those who kill people in the name of that religion. This is like beating a dead horse. This is knocking your head against the wall. They will never say radical Islam. Never. Here's more.
Josh, why wouldn't you use the phrase right there that we are going to take on Islamic extremism? You said all forms of violent extremism.
Well, she asked me what the summit would discuss, and all forms of violent extremism would be discussed. And obviously, the most potent and certainly the most graphic display that we've seen in recent days is motivated by those individuals that seek to invoke the name of Islam to carry out these violent attacks, and that's certainly something that we want to work very hard to counter and mitigate, and we've got a strategy that we've been discussing for some time to exactly do that.
Again, he won't say it. All forms of violent extremism. Really, what? What? The environmentalists, the anarchists, the anti-police protesters, who? The animal rights activists? Because there's no other religions doing this. This is such a joke.
Why isn't it the summit on countering Islamic extremism?
Because violent extremism is something that we want to be focused on, and it's not just Islamic violent extremism that we want to counter. There are other forms of
Paris, Australia, Canada. Isn't the thread through them that it's Islamic extremism?
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly all the examples that you cite are examples of individuals who have cited Islam as they've carried out acts of violence. There's no arguing that.
Yeah, there's no arguing there. We won't call it Islamic terrorism. We'll call it extremism. But there's other kinds. Well, where?
We're talking about a march that came together with essentially 36 hours notice, and a march that occurred outdoors with an obviously very large number of people who participated. We are mindful anytime the president goes to a public place, or the vice president for that matter, that we don't want to, or at least we want to try to mitigate the impact that the security precautions would have on those who are participating in this public event. And there's no doubt that had the president or vice president on this very short time frame gone to participate in this event that took place outdoors with more than 1 million people in attendance, that it would have significantly impacted the ability of those who were attending the march to participate in the way that they did yesterday.
Oh, give me a break. That's why he didn't go to the march, Obama. What about when George Bush came after 9/11 to the World Series and threw out the first pitch? Give me a break. This is ridiculous. And what about the people who did show up?
How do you explain then that the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, he made it there? He's a huge target, obviously, unfortunately.
Well, I will allow the Israelis to discuss what security precautions they had in place.
Dozens of leaders from countries that are very important. They're not America, but very important.
How did they make it there? How did they make it there? Ed, you should talk to them about the security precautions they have in place. You have been to enough events where the president is attending a conference or a summit with other world leaders, and I think that you have seen firsthand that the security precautions that are in place for the President of the United States, this has been true of previous presidents too, are sometimes more onerous than the precautions that are put in place for other world leaders.
All right. Now, again, I bring you back to the World Series at Yankee Stadium when George W. Bush threw out the first pitch. So what was Obama doing on Sunday instead of marching with the rest of the world leaders?
Why didn't he? What was he doing on Sunday? We haven't gotten an accounting of what the president did Sunday.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to the president about what he did yesterday.
I mean, you obviously prepared for this, and you've said many times, most transparent administration. What was the president doing?
I guess I prepared for a lot of questions today, but I did not prepare for a question what the president was actually doing.
Yeah, we don't know what the president was actually doing. Wait, that's a tough question. We're transparent. We can't answer that. This is such bogus nonsense. It's not in the president. He doesn't feel it. On the Steve Malzberg Show.